Good journey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Space Oats podcast, a Crucial Crew podcast. This is Space Oats episode, I believe, 12. I always forget to write down what episode numbers I'm on every single time. Um, let's see here. We are on episode. Yeah, we're on episode 13, actually. This is episode 13 of the Space Oats podcast, Crucial Crew podcast. I am the Crucial Crew member, Jay. Welcome to anyone that joins in tonight, or if you're listening a little bit later on Spotify or Google Podcast is where I have my podcast. Man, what are we going to talk about tonight? Well, we got Return of the Mandalorian and the Bad Batch, new episodes. We're going to talk a little bit about Return of the Jedi, the Special Edition. I talked a little bit about that last week, which I'll explain why I'm continuing to do that this week a little bit. But yeah, so we're gonna talk a lot about Star Wars Celebration. Get into some new merch that was released for Mando Mania Tuesday. Every week something is released because of the Mandalorian. Talk a little bit about some other things, especially pertaining to the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. And yeah, we're just gonna have a blast tonight. So if anybody joins in, has some comments to share, we'll talk about whatever anybody does. So this is again, my podcast, very unscripted. We just talk about whatever's on my mind, basically, when it comes to Star Wars. So yeah, let's get this going. Got my Chandrilla Starline glass going on here, and yeah, we're gonna get started. Let's get right into Mandalorian, shall we? So let's talk about last week's episode of Mandalorian. So we got Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 13 dropping tonight. So let's go back and talk about what happened last week on The Mandalorian. Actually, no, you know what? Hold up. I want to save the better one for last. Let's talk about Bad Batch first. Because honestly, I'm not even really sure which one I enjoyed more last week. Both of these episodes were outstanding. The Star Wars content is just amazing me right now. As far as what is being delivered is outstanding. The Bad Batch is just blowing my mind. Last week, I think I actually enjoyed watching not last week, the week before last, with Mando's first episode. I said this last week. I think I enjoyed that episode of Bad Batch better than the first episode of Mandalorian. Don't know how you felt about that, but I did. So this week, Bad Batch just upped it. Oh my goodness. So I thought it was amazing. So the Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 12 is what we're on. So we're in the second month of the Bad Batch. So we got till the end of this month for Bad Batch, and a few more episodes to go. The episode was titled The Outpost, and we went back to focusing on Crosshair, which long overdue. We haven't seen Crosshair since the beginning of this season, and he's one of my favorite characters right now in the Bad Batch. So I was kind of been really disappointed in not seeing some sort of connection story to the rest of the Bad Batch. And anytime I get Crosshair this season, it's been great. So the first episode that we saw Crosshair this season, the Solitary Clone, or a Solitary Clone, was outstanding. We had the team up with him with Commander Cody, which was really awesome. And now we get him again, and we see some character development, possibly with him possibly changing his views on the Empire. At least that's what I'm seeing. So the Outpost, basically, one of my, I think, was one of the best episodes of the season so far. Again, Crosshair, I think, makes that happen. I really enjoy watching the development of this character. I wish we had a little bit more of Crosshair this season, but at least we got him this week, or this past week. So we travel to a new planet, an ice planet, snow planet, Barton 4, I believe it was. And so basically that's where this outpost is, connecting into the title of the episode. And apparently they're going to check out. They send some Crosshair as well as some other troopers under Lieutenant Nolan to this outpost to see what's going on. Supplies are possibly getting stolen in some raids, and they need to go ahead and investigate this. So they get to Barton 4. We meet up with a clone commander, a new one, Mayday, which ends up being a really great character. Unfortunately, he didn't make it through the episode. But a lot of great interactions between Mayday and Crosshair that gets Crosshair kind of thinking about, his brothers and who he really is. And we saw a little bit of this in the beginning of the episode with some of the clones basically being kind of dismissed for their service, and them kind of putting it out there, what are we going to do now that we are no longer able to serve? And they kind of just shove them off like, we don't care, as far as what's been told to them, that, that's not their problem. And Crosshair hears this, so that's kind of going back in his mind. And then when he's constant throughout this whole episode, Lieutenant Nolan just like saying horrible things about the clones. And Crosshair is just like hearing this and hearing this and hearing this the entire time. And then they have another raid. All of Mayday's men been pretty much destroyed, basically killed off in this episode. It's up to Mayday and Crosshair to go get these stolen goods. There's a lot of interactions, again, like I said, with Mayday and Crosshair, basically almost kind of building on this connection of unity and family that Crosshair does not have right now with anyone, because he's again, going back to that other episode, he's a solitary clone. He's on his own right now. In there trying to get this cargo back, there's an avalanche. Mayday is injured. His injuries basically are fatal. So they make it back to the outpost, but he gets there. He needs medical attention like immediately. Lieutenant Nolan does not give it to him, and he dies right there on the platform. And Lieutenant Nolan basically just says, well, he did his duty he served his purpose, basically, kind of like just throwing him off as a piece of equipment, which Crosshair definitely does not like. And this is where you kind of see that maybe change in Crosshair, because he shoots and kills Lieutenant Nolan. So when are we going to see Crosshair next? What's going to happen? Obviously, he's captured now. Obviously, he's going to have to face consequences for shooting a superior officer. But, is the Bad Batch going to go and rescue him? Is that going to be what's going forward in the series, as far as reuniting with Bad Batch, reuniting with Crosshair, and reuniting the group together? So is that going to be the thing? Is that going to be the redeeming moment of this season? That's what I'm thinking. We're going to see that possibly maybe being one of the last 2 episodes of them either rescuing him, or maybe there will be one final mission after that with them all together again as Clone Force 99. So we'll see what happens. Another cool thing about this ice planet, you had these ice vultures, which were kind of looming like all over this whole episode. It just made this episode have a lot of intense feelings of, especially when that right before Crosshair pulled that trigger of the vault of anytime somebody was either almost like getting ready to die, they would always go up to those ice vultures because it was like brought to attention that, you know, pretty much anybody that doesn't survive on the planet is food for the ice vultures. And it was just one of those eerie things that they just kept throwing that in there throughout this episode, especially on that platform at the end there. You saw that shadow of the ice vulture like looming over Mayday and Crosshair, when all that went down at the end there. So really intense episode. I thought it was just amazing. Again, one of the best episodes of the season by far. Solitary Clone and Outpost, probably my two favorite episodes of this season. Crosshair is just outstanding. He's just, and it's these episodes with not very. I mean, this episode didn't really have a lot of characters in it. You had Crosshair, Mayday, pretty much the entire episode. Not a lot of supporting characters. It just really was story driven for those two characters, and really Crosshair in developing him. So, I thought it was amazing. Really good episode. Let me know what you think about Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 12, The Outpost. Did you like it? Did you not like it? See if you agree with me on that one. So let's get to Mando. Let's talk about Mando a little bit. Mandalorian. This is going to be, we're on Season 3, Episode 2 we just had last week. By far, way better than Episode 1. I was a little disappointed in Episode 1 when it came out. Was not liking all of the different things going on in that episode, as I had stated last week. This episode kind of took that whole same style of Bad Batch episode and put a similar type of planet, a harsh planet. Not a lot of characters, so you got a lot of character development between two characters mainly. A lot of story, a lot of themes dived into as far as where this story is going for each of the characters. This one being, Din and Bo Katan. So both of them having big stepping stones in their character development here. So Mando Season 3, Episode 2, entitled The Mines of Mandalore. And honestly, I thought this was something that was gonna wait a long time after it was. I thought this was gonna take a while to get to, honestly. I thought that we were gonna have to wait on this one possibly till the end of the season as far as getting to the Mines of Mandalore. But as it looks, pretty much everything that we've seen in the trailers is coming to fruition in these first episodes. So wondering what's going to happen going forward. I'm kind of clueless as far as where this story is going this year, because we've basically seen a lot of what's in the trailer as far as what the goal that we thought was. Din redeeming himself, getting to the living waters. We're there, and it's only Episode 2. We started off this episode actually on Tatooine. It was we heard something that we haven't heard since the Phantom Menace. It was Boonta Eve, and as you recall, in the Phantom Menace, the pod race was the Boonta Eve Classic. So that was held around Mos Espa, in and around Mos Espa in the theater and so forth. So is this kind of like a futuristic look of the Boonta Eve Classic? You saw some street racing through the city there in the beginning as they were entering in, And so Din goes and visits Peli. He's looking for this chip for the IG-11 that the Anzellans could not repair IG-11 unless they had a new chip for him, since he had reverted back to his original programming. Which that was one of those things last week that I just let IG-11 die. I kind of don't want him coming back. I think he served his purpose. So, he goes to visit Peli, thinking that she would be able to get him this chip. She communicates with the Jawas. The Jawas basically say there's no way that that's going to happen. So he tells her what he needs IG-11 for, and ends up settling with R5-D4. So here we get to see R5-D4 shine a little bit, and becoming part of Din Djarin's crew. So pretty cool here. Din ventures out in the Naboo starfighter with R5-D4 and Grogu. They kind of reconfigure the port for the droid. Grogu hops in the cockpit with Din, and they head to Mandalore. Din gets through the atmosphere of Mandalore and gets down to the surface. Sends R5-D4 out to basically see if the atmosphere is able to be breathable, which we find out is mainly for Grogu, because we see that the Mando suit is actually can be pressurized, which is pretty cool to see about that. So that basically opens up underwater and maybe space flight in vacuum of space and so forth. So a lot of things could happen now that we know that. R5-D4 does not come back, and he has to kind of go out, so that's why he pressurizes his suit. We run into these Alamites, I think they were called, which apparently are creatures that were always on Mandalore, but kind of like away from the cities. And now that Mandalore was destroyed, they've pretty much have free reign. So they've survived the bombardment of the Siege of Mandalore. So, what else has survived? That's a question that's kind of brought up a little bit later. As Din he gets to R5-D4, realizes the atmosphere is safe to breathe, comes back for Grogu. They start heading down into the underground city, and kind of spelunking in a way. So when they get down to the lower levels, the lower depths, Din gets a little sidetracked because he sees some of the remnants of some of the Mandalorian armor, helmets and so forth, and that's when this really cool creature, this spider droid creature, spider droid with like some kind of like droid with a little bit of, you almost want to think of him as a precursor to Grievous almost, because he did have some organic material, an eyeball at least. So it was kind of weird. Like I was actually thinking like the Bjormar monks, a little bit of cross between that and the and Grievous a little bit when I saw this thing, honestly, which was pretty cool. I thought it was a really interesting, creepy looking spider droid character, which kind of to sidetrack on this a little bit. We'll talk about this a little bit later, but this is one thing that this week they announced there's going to be a Lego set of this spider droid with the minifigures for Bo Katan, Grogu, and Din Djarin, with like a new Darksaber mold with that. So it's pretty cool. If you're a big Lego fan, you can actually pick up this new creature from Mandalorian, this new droid from Mandalorian. But yeah, so Din Djarin gets captured by this thing. It almost kind of like puts him in like a little cage. Grogu gets away. He tells Grogu to go find Bo. The reason why he's able to basically do this and is because kind of like on the way to Mandalore, he's kind of already teaching Grogu the ways of the Mandalorian, the importance of knowing where you are in the galaxy, how to read the maps, the star charts, and so forth. And as they start entering into the Mandalore system, he like shows him the different planets. And kind of lets him know where Bo-Katan is in relation to where they're going. Bo-Katan being her castle being on the planet, I think it's a planet. Pretty sure it's a planet and not a moon, but Kalevala. I think I'm saying that right. I'm not sure, but that's where Bo-Katan was when they visited earlier. So Grogu is able to basically zoom on out of there in his little pod. He runs into some more Alamites and uses his force, and we see that he's starting to, get control of that with the little bit of teaching that he's had, and knocks one of those cold and gets on out of there. He goes and gets to Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan basically realizes that Grogu, something's wrong with Mandalorian. She takes him on her ship back to Mandalore and basically has Grogu kind of guide her way down there. So she gets there and fights off this spider droid thing and saves Din. She uses the Darksaber, which is really cool to see Bo-Katan having the Darksaber back in her hands, using that. And obviously she knows how to wield it a lot better than the Mandalorian, than Din does. So really cool. You can like kind of tell that the Darksaber really does belong to her. I'm hoping that somehow it gets back in her hands. I mean, either that or she teaches him. I mean, it doesn't really bother me either way, but I think something's going to happen like with that. Either she is going to accept it back without the whole getting it by ritual, the combat from what she believes needs to happen, or because obviously her thinking changes as far as all the ritualistic stuff with the Mandalorian cultures and creeds because of what happens a little bit later. So maybe it does just happen to get back into her hands and her accept it back, or maybe she, with what happens later in the episode, actually realizes that Din Djarin is the one that should lead and helps him to learn how to wield the Darksaber. But I do think that their relationship is going to be more connected going forward, and they're going to help each other out a little bit. So they finally get to the living waters of Mandalore. We actually do see the living waters. There's a lot of cool story development going on as far as the history, the myth of why the living waters came to be, and like what used to happen there. Bathing in the living waters, what that means, some of the history of, how all that storyline came about. There was a plaque there, and Bo-Katan kind of reads from that plaque as the history. She talks a little bit about her father in that history development. So a lot of cool story going on in that moment. So, and then we see the Mandalorian actually follow through on what he set out to do and bathe in the living waters. He starts heading in. He starts saying, the words that we heard from that foundling in the first episode as they were bathing in the waters. So kind of like being reborn in a sense as a Mandalorian, retaking his oath, and he gets sucked down. For a minute, I just thought he like lost his footing. Honestly, I don't know what the heck I was thinking, but Bo-Katan actually has this like terror look in her eyes, and she just like goes in after him, goes down and gets him, finds him all the way at the bottom of that waterway there. And then on their way up, we see what appears to be a mythosaur. And obviously Bo-Katan does not believe that they exist. Whether she ever believed that they existed or not really sure. I was doing some research on the mythosaur, and basically she has to, it's got to be known that they did exist at some point, because there is an actual mythosaur skull in Dok-Ondar's in Galaxy's Edge. So Black Spire Outpost is canon. If there's an actual mythosaur skull, a real one, in Dok-Ondar's, then they did exist. So it must be known that they existed at some point. Whether they feel that they just have long been extinct, that could be why she doesn't believe there's any mythosaur around at all. And maybe it's that she just didn't believe in the story of basically riding of the mythosaur and the true one that basically would do that, as far as the history of that goes. So that's what I'm thinking, that it's not that she didn't believe in the mythosaur, but she didn't believe in the connection of that and the Mandalorian prophecies and so forth, of the one that would be able to tame the mythosaur or ride the mythosaur or whatever that is. My thoughts are that Din Djarin is going to be that one. And that's why I think he's going to keep the Darksaber. I think Bo-Katan's going to believe in this. She's going to help him in the cause to reunite Mandalore and the people, and help Bo-Katan be able to, or help Din Djarin be able to do this. So because we see this mythosaur kind of wake up, and I have a feeling that next week it's gonna start off pretty intense, I think, in the beginning of that episode. So can't wait for that to happen. Looking forward to that. For the episode that's gonna drop tonight. So gonna be watching that. If you're watching either one of those, live streaming those with Dano Channel, awesome. I definitely am not. Way too late for me. But I will be watching those first thing tomorrow morning. And can't wait to talk about those next week. So do we have the episode names of either of these for next week? So let's take a look here. The Bad Batch. Let's see. For the Bad Batch this week, the episode is Pabu? Pabu. I have no idea what that's going to refer to. But that is the name of the episode for the Bad Batch, episode 13. And the Mandalorian season 3, episode 3. We don't know that episode name yet, which kind of goes along with most of them. They're not until they drop do we actually know the title, because the title is actually in the episode. I don't even think they list it on Disney Plus as far as that. It just says chapter, so forth, I'm pretty sure. So you actually have to start watching the episode to see the title. But can't wait for both of those tomorrow. Interested in seeing what direction everything's going. So, as had mentioned before, some new merch has dropped, being Mando Mania Tuesday, in celebration of another Mandalorian episode this week. We actually got a new action figure, not for the Mandalorian, but for the Book of Boba Fett, one of the Tusken warriors from the Book of Boba Fett. So, and it looks like it was the one that was kind of in the black, that kind of befriended him a little bit, fought him and so forth. So yeah, one of those Tusken warriors, really cool looking action figure from the Book of Boba Fett. Some cool Enzo rings. I'm a big fan of the Enzo rings. I like silicone rings, by the way. That's what I wear. And I've been debating about getting a Star Wars Enzo ring. I think they're a little pricey, but they look really cool. And there's a few that were released today connected to the Mandalorian. So there's a Darksaber one, a Grogu one, and a Mandalorian one. I really like the Darksaber one, honestly. It's pretty cool looking. I wouldn't go with one with like a character like face on it, like the other two, and they've had other ones released that have had kind of similar things like that. But the Darksaber one kind of has the etching of like the hilt of the Darksaber, which is really cool looking, and it's very subtle, but it has, you know, just a little bit of character to it. So that one's a pretty neat one. That might be something that I think about purchasing. If you're one of those people that likes the pop sockets, the pop outs for your phones, I'm not a big fan of those. I don't even like cases on my phone, honestly. But I do have like a generic case on my phone that I, you know, just have. But it'll eventually go away. I'm not a big fan of cases. I just don't like how they add to the weight of phones, especially nowadays with the big phones that we have. The more stuff on it just makes them more bulkier, and it's putting them in your. I put my phone in my back pocket, and the pop outs just don't really work for me. My wife has one on her phone. She likes the pop sockets, but they have a couple new Grogu and Mandalorian ones. A few different styles of each of those by Pop Sockets. So if you're a fan of those, you can check those out. And then socks. I love Star Wars socks. I've never bought any Rock'em socks yet, but they got a few Mandalorian themed Rock'em socks. I have a lot of Mandalorian socks though. I don't know if I'd end up getting more Mandalorian socks. There was some really cool blue ones. Basically, kind of carrying off of Din Djarin's, I think I think it was maybe his armor, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe in the future I'll think about getting some. I don't know if anybody has worn Rock'em socks. Are they good quality? You know, I'm sure they're pretty good quality. How do they hold up to stance? That's kind of what I want to know. I like stance socks are really good. They've held up very well for me. So if they're good, same quality level as stance or better quality, let me know. Maybe I'll look into getting some of these Rock'em socks, the Star Wars socks, maybe in the future. Let's talk about Celebration. We're under a month away from Celebration London, to which I'm going. Can't wait for that. They released the badges. The other day, as far as what the badges look like, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see what badges I get. Really cool thing I'm excited about, and I was kind of excited about it. Didn't like it because I had to pay a little bit more, but the 4-day passes like sold out like that this year for London. So I ended up having to buy individual passes for each day. So for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. The cool thing about that, though, is you get 4 badges rather than just one for a 4-day pass. I was really disappointed in the badges from Anaheim. Didn't like the Navarro, I think it was Navarro scene with the Mandalorian ship. I can't even remember what it's called, the old one. Man, I like totally forgot what it's called now. But I didn't like it. It was dark. The picture quality, yeah, and it was. I thought it was horrible. But these new badges, the new badges are actually a digital artist did all of them, 19 of them. Alice Zhang, I believe I'm pronouncing her name right. She's a digital artist. And there's 19 different badges. And if you get them all, they'll fit into a puzzle, which looks pretty. It's not like a really like cohesive puzzle, but they do kind of fit together, which is pretty neat. It would be awesome, to have to display that kind of stuff if you're someone that gets them all. And usually at Celebration, you can end up, I think, buying replicas of all the badges. I think so. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I've seen people with all of them, but I'm curious as to which ones I get. Oh, Mike. Hey, Mike, how you doing? Hey, look, I have the comments on this week, Mike. We're just talking about Celebration a little bit, especially right now. Talking about the badges, what the badges look like this year for Celebration London. Basically, I'm excited to see which ones I get. Yeah, I love the artwork. I'm super excited. I'm really, really, really hoping I get one of the Ahsoka ones. The Ahsoka one, it's the Rosario Dawson version of Ahsoka is one of them. It looks really cool. Obviously, I've said it. Ahsoka right now is probably my favorite character. I'm a big fan. I've watched her from the beginning, and just seen her grow, and I'm happy with the direction that everything's going with Ahsoka. I love Rosario Dawson. I think she's done a great job with the live action portrayal. Can't wait. Just having her on the badge, it solidifies to me that something's going to be released at Celebration for Ahsoka, whether that be the trailer or we get to see a little bit of a sizzle reel or something. There's a panel for Ahsoka. Yeah, I'm just super excited about that. So I really hope that one of my badges is the Ahsoka badge. I'm hoping it's like the Friday badge, honestly, because that's when the panel is, I believe, is on Friday. Either that or Saturday. But like I said, I have the 4 separate passes, so I'm going to get 4 different badges. So I got a 4 in 19 shot to get it. You've never watched the... Oh, my goodness. You get to watch back in the day. Man, you've never watched the... Clone Wars is like my go-to right now. I come home and I'll just like throw in Clone Wars episodes. Oh my goodness, I love the animation. Yeah, I've followed that since the beginning. So, man, you got to watch that one day, Mike. You got to just binge them all. They're outstanding. In the beginning, it's a little tough, but as it goes along, especially the last season, it's fantastic. A lot of good Ahsoka stories in that. But yeah, Ahsoka, I'm kind of really hoping for as one of the badges I get. Another thing that's really cool is they have Luke Skywalker in honor of the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. It's the Luke from Return of the Jedi look. Yeah. There's always different badges for volunteers, exhibitors, staff. I think staff, maybe, I don't know. Media, I know gets badges. It is hard to get them all. I want to say that they do like a replica though, like package, because I swear I've seen this before, where like if you go to like the store, the Celebration store, you can get like, they're not the real badges, obviously, with the codes to get you in, but like you can buy them all as like a pack to have at least all the artwork, kind of like replica badges. I'm pretty sure they do that, but you have to be at Celebration, I think, to do that, to get them all. But yeah, like I said, I have a 4 in 19 shot, so because I'm getting 4 different badges because I got each of the day. So yeah, you could print my own later. If anything, I really want to, I could just they have a really cool photo of them all together. You can make that as a wallpaper on your computer or whatever you want to do with that. But yeah, so, and then they have another cool one, the Darth Vader from Obi-Wan, kind of with the split in the helmet and everything. That one looks really cool. That would be a cool one to get. Obviously, they're going to do Return of the Jedi panel for 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi. So a lot of them have to do with that. They're going to do, I think, an Obi-Wan panel Ewan McGregor is going to be there. Hayden Christensen is going to be there. So, that's why a lot of the badges match what's going on at Celebration. So the only ones that I couldn't kind of figure out is they had a chopper one. Kind of not sure why they have a chopper one. What that means for, is Chopper going to show up somewhere? Maybe in the Ahsoka series, maybe somewhere else. That kind of threw me off. I don't know if there was anything else that really threw me off because everybody else was in, like I said, in any of those other series. So yeah, and he's flying. Yeah, the chopper one is really cool. I like that one a lot. But everything else kind of ties to something that I know is going to be talked about at Celebration, but I can't. Chopper's the one that's throwing me off. So I'm curious as to what's going to happen with Chopper. If we're going to get something with Chopper. He's just amazing. I love Chopper. I need to buy the Chopper at the Chopper droid, the Droid Builders. It was a really cool Chopper. They also, I can make maybe the kids badge. That's a good point. I forgot about that. They have a kids badge. Yeah, probably not going to get Chopper then. I'm right there. I think you're right on that one, Michael or Mike. So panel reservations. I got to make some of my panel reservations. This is the one thing I kind of hate about Celebration, honestly, because the VIP, the Jedi Master, which you got to spend tons of money on that. You're guaranteed to get into the Celebration stage pretty much for every panel. Everything else, you got that lottery, or you got to show up really early, and maybe there's a spot for you to get in. Posted the links to the panels. Is that what you're posting the links up on? The sign up for the panels? Yeah, so we have until next Tuesday to sign up. And I hate this because unless you have a big group going and you're all linked together, you very rarely ever get anything. I mean, I haven't gotten anything lottery wise for Celebration since this whole thing started, because it's either just me or two of us. So I think the lottery kind of sucks. Honestly, I hate the lottery system. I hate it. I don't think it's fair to people that are going by themselves or people that are solo tripping it, or just having one other person with them. I don't really think it's fair for those individuals, because basically it's saying, oh, if you're going with a big group, you have a better shot. So, which kind of sucks. Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely want the Ahsoka one. You got that right. I mean, I'm going to do everything in my power to get to that one. I'll probably just go as early as possible because I know I'm not going to get pulled in the lottery, and I'm just going to sit there and wait. But yeah, but if anybody watches this later, if anybody sees this later, and I have never done the link up thing with anybody else. But it would be really cool to get into a group with other people. That's the one thing that would be awesome. That better shots to get into things would be amazing. But yeah, so that happens. The badges, I'll have to at least get that by Tuesday next week and sign up, reserve those, and hope for the best. If not, I'll just be doing what I do every year and either trying for that main stage or trying to at least get into the overflow, so that way I can see everything happen live. And the thing is, though, you don't get into that live stage, and sometimes even if you're in the overflow, you don't get to see what's in the live stage. The Mandalorian one last year, we didn't get to see the trailer. I think it was. We got to see the sizzle reel, I think. We didn't get to see the actual trailer, which was shown. There was one thing that was blocked out for the other rooms. which kind of sucked. But yeah, so panel reservations. If you're going to Star Wars Celebration London, make those reservations before next Tuesday. And if you have a group and you want to link me in, let me know. So let's see. Oh, by the way, before I get off the Celebration topic, let's talk about Celebration Anaheim for a minute. So, you always have to like have a choice of what you do at Celebration, and you don't get to do everything you want. You don't get to get everything you want. And you think that sometimes it's never going to happen. I really wanted something at Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, and I couldn't get it. And that was the Beskar coasters. Now, I have an amazing crew member on the Halcyon that I had overheard that she had bought extras of those, and because somebody else bought one of the extra ones from her, and I was like, oh, if I would have known, I would have bought extra ones off of you. She said, let me check, I might have one more. She got back with me on Sunday and said she did, and today I finally got my Celebration Beskar coasters. These things are amazing. And I saw them afterwards because I met up with somebody that got these. They are really cool. It was only 2 in a pack. They were like $40, but they're really like solid metal. I don't know if you can hear that, but they're really heavy. Yeah, so they got that cool like Beskar look. And, with the Imperial symbol down there. And the back of them has got a nice little felt on them, so they don't slide around. They say Star Wars Celebration 2022 down at the bottom. I don't know if that's going to show up. I'm really bad at this kind of stuff. Anyway, but $100 on eBay. Yeah, so they were $40 at Celebration, and so I got them. My awesome crew member that I work with, Sandy, she gave me one of her extra sets for the cost, which was pretty awesome. I love that. I love that. We got some amazing crew members on the Halcyon that do amazing things for each other. So, yeah, so that's a cool thing. But just wanted to kind of tag that on there from Celebration, because you never know what can happen. You can't get everything, and maybe on the back end you're able to find these things a little bit later. So I think that was really like the only thing that I didn't get that I was like, I wish I could have gotten those, and I didn't want to spend like crazy money on those. I was just kind of thinking, chalking it up to never gonna get those, but finally got them almost a year later, so that was pretty awesome. Another thing that I'm really excited about, and we had a couple of extra things released about this past week, was the Return of the Jedi version of A Certain Point of View, which is the book that takes it takes 40 stories from characters, different side characters or other characters throughout the movie, and basically tells the story from their point of view. There's been, this is the third one in the series. They had the Star Wars A New Hope that was released on the 40th anniversary. Empire Strikes Back that was released on the 40th anniversary, and this year they're going to do the Return of the Jedi. So I mean, I don't know yet. I mean, it doesn't come out until September 5th. So we don't really know much about the stories yet. The only couple ones that they had on StarWars.com, as far as like some of the stories, one of them, author going to be Olivia Blake. She's going to tell a little bit of a story on Palpatine from his perspective, maybe while he's sitting in that chair. That'll be pretty neat. Another author, Saladin Ahmed, is going to tell the story from the Rancor Keeper version, which is really cool. I like it when you get these side characters that weren't that didn't get a lot of screen time, and you hear the story from their perspective. So you got the Rancor Keeper. That'll be an interesting story. I think that'll be pretty awesome. Charlie Jane Anders is going to give a story from the Sarlacc's perspective. So that's pretty cool. I loved A New Hope had the Dianoga. Then that was one of my favorite stories, actually. That was, if you go back to one of my earlier episodes when I do my little crucial character picks for A New Hope, which is, like little side characters. That character was actually my pick for A New Hope as far as a crucial character of A New Hope, and it just had to do with that story. I love that story. And it made me want to buy a Dianoga in Black Spire Outpost. I just started getting fascinated with the Dianogas just from that story. Fran Wild does a story from the perspective of Mon Mothma, which I really love Mon Mothma, especially after Andor. She's become one of my favorite side characters, and I would love to hear a little bit more about her perspective during the Battle of Endor. I'm wondering if that author took a little bit about what we saw in Andor and kind of tied in any of that story to Return of the Jedi and like what Mon Mothma was thinking. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. Mary Kenny does a story based on Wicket's perspective, which is pretty cool. I think from what it sounds like, it seems like why Wicket was out in the woods and kind of like what he was doing out there when he came across Princess Leia. So that'll be a pretty neat story. Mike Chen does a story from Anakin's perspective. And it basically hints that it's basically once Anakin redeems himself, what was going through his mind. So and Wicket is on the cover too. Yeah, I was going to mention that. That's actually why I kind of brought this up. That's the story that kind of came up today, and it like reminded me, or came up within this last week. The cover art was released. The cover art is by Will Stolly, I think is how you pronounce his name, but he's a cover artist. It looks really cool. It's kind of like that victory celebration with Wicket. That cool cover art, very reminiscent of some of the other cover art as far as the coloring. I don't know if he did. Yeah, okay, he did. He did the cover art for the Empire Strikes Back point of view. So that's the Empire Strikes Back certain point of view. And that cover art and design was done by Will Stolly as well. So I don't have my A New Hope one in here. I think that's on my bedside because I was going back and reading some of those stories again. But yeah, so that's there coming out September 5th again. So I'm definitely going to be getting that. I was hoping it was going to be available at Star Wars Celebration. So I guess not, unless they release a couple of copies, maybe some copies early, and we can maybe get. But I doubt that. So I'm thinking it's going to be. A lot of other artists. Again, 40 artists, 40 authors telling 40 stories from Return of the Jedi. So, I know it. I didn't see the date, but I'm pretty sure it did say you can pre-order it ahead of time for September 5th release. And then last but not least, we'll spend a little bit of time because last week I did talk about this, but I kind of did it early. What I didn't realize is, so last week, March 7th, I had said that it was the anniversary of Return of the Jedi Special Edition release from 1997. And I talked about this a little bit. However, what I didn't realize, because I didn't see it in the theaters when it was released, because they changed the date. They bumped it back a week. It actually didn't get released until March the 14th, 1997. So today is actually the anniversary of the release of Return of the Jedi Special Edition in the theaters. They pushed it back because the other ones were doing so well. Yeah, the poster actually does say that it came. I was like looking at that too. The poster says March the 7th, 1997. That's cool that you have the poster. And I was looking at that and I was like really confused because I thought what I saw was like wrong information and all. And then I was like, oh, cool. And they sent a sticker. That's hilarious. And man, if you didn't put the sticker on it, and you kept the sticker aside, that I would think makes it a lot more valuable. I love little mess up things or things that are incorrect information. So that is pretty neat. But I'm actually the entire time I've had the special edition running again. I threw out, I know I talked about this a little bit last week. I threw out there, what people liked and didn't like about the special edition, specifically Return of the Jedi. And there was a lot of things that were pretty cool about it, and other things that that you could have basically said, oh, I wish they would have kept the original. E-poster, okay. Is the e-poster is the one with the wrong date? Is that the version with the wrong date? I'm guessing is what you're listing there. Yeah, the wrong date. Okay, cool. So yeah, so if anybody wants that, that is looking for that poster, that's what you would be looking for. The special edition version e-poster would be the one with the March 7th, 1997 date. March 7th, 1997 date, which was the wrong date. I liked a couple. Honestly, so the special editions are great because obviously everything was cleaned up, digitally remastered. It looks a lot clearer. And even when you go back and you watch the special editions, they're still a lot grainier than what you would watch on Disney Plus, with like the 4K versions. But, with the CG, there's certain things that were like inputted that pretty neat, like you got Jabba's sail barge and it's going out. You get like the bantha herds. That was pretty cool. I like the little things that didn't really have like a major impact on the story. The CGI tentacles and beak on the Sarlacc. I like the whole extra like tentacles and stuff, but like the beak thing, I don't know. I think I could take it or leave it. The poster, 25 shirts, 100. Holy mess, Mike. That's hilarious. Man, that's cool. Yeah, I definitely would not have had that much to get. Secret between us. As you read, that's hilarious. Oh my god. Yeah, I guess they would have given you all that. Interesting. Secret between us. Well, hopefully nobody important watches this. You don't have to worry about that. Anyway, another interesting thing that I didn't even think about, and I was actually watching this because I was like, you know what? It wasn't in the originals. They put the Jabba's dialogue. They put subtitles, which kind of doesn't really make sense because C-3PO always translated Jabba's lines. So I was like, why did they do that? Kind of weird. I don't know. But I didn't even like kind of remember that happening. And then that was a thing and it wasn't a thing beforehand, but I do have the originals of the movies. And I went back and yeah, Jabba's dialogue was never, translated like anything that C-3PO translated. So it was pretty interesting, to see that given subtitles. So that was kind of weird. Because you really didn't need to know what he said because C-3PO was translating. And then, of course, the big thing that everybody didn't like was the change in Jabba's palace with the music, the new dance number, the band members, which I kind of liked some of the band members, honestly. I didn't like what they did with Cy Snoodles. I liked the original. But I liked the harmonica guy. I thought that was pretty cool. And the guys on the drums in the back, I thought that was pretty neat. The dancers, the backup dancers could have done without that. Boba Fett flirting with the dancers and all that kind of stuff. It's just kind of weird. Yeah, I like the old number better. But again, like I said, I like some of the additions to the band members. Not all of them though. The other guy that sings, yeah, no, get rid of him. Yeah, that whole number, yeah, I could have left that. I loved the addition of Ula, and them bringing the actress back and having that extra scene of her in the Rancor pit. I thought that gave a lot of extra terror to that scene of what the Rancor kind of meant, because we had never seen a Rancor, and seeing her face when she knew it was going to happen, I thought that was an amazing edition. So I thought that was probably the best thing added to the special edition of Return of the Jedi, was that little added scene from Ula, which was really awesome, done very well, I thought. Yeah, that was definitely, in my opinion, the best add of the Return of the Jedi special edition. So not everything was bad. And then at the end, I really love the Yub Nub song. I didn't think it was horrible, the victory song that it was changed to. I mean, Return of the Jedi being the first movie I ever saw in the theater, Yub Nub has a place in my heart. So the victory celebration, it wasn't as bad as the other change in Jabba's palace, but I mean, I don't mind it as much. And I kind of like, especially at the time, Return of the Jedi was going to be the last film. There wasn't going to be any more left. That was supposed to be the celebration. And going to the other planets and like seeing Coruscant and Tatooine and some other things and like the whole celebration across the galaxy, I thought it was pretty cool. Now that we have like more films, I'm not really sure. So, Mike, honestly, for you, it's not just what 14 years ago, like taking a pop song today and then changing it just because. Yeah. I mean, exactly. Like, so I'm kind of there with you. Like, I grew up with Return of the Jedi. It was the first movie I ever saw in the theaters. So I knew it from the very beginning as Yub Nub and Laptinek. So, like, those were the songs. And then when it changed, it was tough. Oh, Dark Smack. Hey, what's up? But that is what new music is. Yeah, true. That is true. Yeah. So I mean, so Victory Celebration didn't bother me as much as the Jedi Rocks, honestly, for Special Edition. I'm thinking that's like to me, like there's really not much else that really was changed. I mean, I kind of went through, I think, everything that was changed. But again, it was, if you go back, let's take away all the 4K version, and let's just say we only ever had the special editions. When you watch the old ones, it's tough to go back and watch the old versions, honestly. I do that every now and then from time to time. But yeah, like it was the end. It was the end at that time. Yeah, I mean, we could go back and forth. Hey, there's good reasons, there's bad reasons. Some people like it, some people don't. I did like a little poll. I did a little thing post on Reddit last week, and I think about half and half were saying yes to the victory song and like no to the victory song. So, but pretty much everybody's a no for Jedi Rocks. So, which I think we will all agree on that. But yeah, so, but yeah, yeah, like I said, I was watching Special Edition again tonight, Return of the Jedi. So I like to break out my old DVDs every once in a while because different quality. It's I kind of like a little bit of graininess sometimes to my. It almost like it makes the CGI not look as bad, honestly. You don't notice the differences between the CGI and the actual film as you do with like the 4K when you go back and you watch the older ones, I don't think. But yeah, so I love this set. I don't know if anybody has. So this set was they were individuals. They came with comics, and then they also had the actual theatrical releases of the films. So on the second disc, so literally has the old versions of these. I don't know where in the heck I knew that these were coming out and where I bought them at the time, but these are the original theatrical versions as well as the special editions. It's a 2-disc set, and the really cool thing is the actual theatrical version disc has a really cool artwork on them. I'm gonna pull out the Return of the Jedi one because it's really awesome, but really cool artwork on the theatrical versions. So that's the Return of the Jedi one. But I love these versions. Again, the original theatrical releases on these, so really cool. Yeah, it's the revenge poster art. Yep. Keep trying to convince my brother-in-law let me convert his original Fox versions to digital media. So these these Star Wars trilogy original VCR tapes. I just don't have a VCR to play them. But yeah, this is the. It even says CBS Fox on the side. Yeah, Return of the Jedi. So, yep, love these as well. I just don't have anything to play these on. I have like every version. Like I used to buy like every VCR. I have the special edition letterbox as well as the widescreen VCR. So like the one was the silver box set. The one was the gold box set. Don't have Laserdisc. Nope. I had friends that had the Laserdisc, and I used to watch them all the time when I went over there. But no, I never had the Laserdisc. If I knew I was going to be collecting at that time, I would like got them from them. Yeah, before they probably got rid of them, but yeah, yeah. So that's about it for tonight. I didn't really have anything. I mean, I've been on here for what, almost over an hour. I have the trailer flat film. The trailer flat film. I'm not picking that up. I don't know. I'm not sure what that is. They show in the oh nice. So the actual film. That's cool. That's okay. I can't type either. I can't type and I can't spell, so that's totally fine. I get you there. That's cool. Actual film. I have a film cell. That's about all I have. I think that's like up here somewhere. Yeah, it's way up here. You can't see it, but it's a Return of the Jedi film cell. I think they gave that. I think that was like way back with like either Star Wars Fan Club or Bantha Tracks or something like that with like a renewal, a subscription. It actually was part of the gift package. Was that film cell from Return of the Jedi that I have, which was pretty cool. I loved it when they used to give out those cool things with like the gift boxes with fan memberships. Took it and cut it into the cells, sold it back in the day. Yeah, Fan Club. Yep. I used to love those things. Like getting all that cool stuff every time you renewed, and then with the magazine, the Star Wars Fan Club magazine, Insider, and all that. And then they just kind of stopped all that stuff. So I wish they kind of had that. Bantha Tracks. Yeah, I had my brother, he was a Bantha Tracks subscriber before I was. And we had all the little paper Bantha Tracks letters, had all of them. And then somehow they disappeared. I remember like within the month that they disappeared, I was looking all over for those things. I think like my parents were like cleaning up, and I think my dad like probably tossed them in the fireplace and burned them all. And I was like, oh man. I wish I still had all those. I never would have threw those away. Honestly, I don't throw anything Star Wars away. And yeah, so I think that was him. It's one of those things like never forgive him for that. I know he did it. Um, but yeah, so yeah, a couple other things. Just if anybody listens to Wookiee Radio, I ran into Mike from Wookiee Radio the other day. He gave me cool little tag. Um, I think they were gonna. He said it's something about maybe doing a giveaway on Wookiee Radio. So maybe follow them, see what's up with that. I know he had a bunch of these things, these little tags. Yeah, so they're pretty cool. Ran into him yesterday. Went to Galaxy's Edge on Sunday briefly. Talked about that a little bit on my way home on Facebook Live, but didn't spend much time there. I was actually going to Phantasmic to see a former crew member debut in Phantasmic. But you know what? I was able to pick up a Oga's reservation, so anytime I'm able to hop into Oga's, I do. So me and another crew member went in there, got my spot at the bar that I always get. Every time I'm in Oga's, they always put me at the bar on Rex's side every time, which is so cool. Got my outer rim and ended up getting the Dagobah Slug Slinger this time. So that drink grows on me, honestly. But there are two tequila drinks. I was drinking a lot of tequila earlier, so basically wanted to kind of stick with it. So, but I love the Outer Rim. Outer Rim is one of my favorite drinks in Oga's, and I want to try the sampler next time I go, because the sampler that's there, I had mentioned this. The sampler, I think it's called the Hapabor sampler. I think it's kind of like well, it used to be like little veggie things and all that stuff. It used to be a secret menu item. Wasn't even on the menu. You had to know they had it. You had to ask for it, and they would bring it out. Then they put it on the menu, and they've changed it because I saw somebody order it, saw it come out, and I asked the server, Jackson, which, by the way, Jackson, amazing server at Oga's. If you're ever there, try to ask for him. He's outstanding. A lot of fun to interact with. And I saw it. I said, Jackson, what's that? And he's like, that's the sampler. And I said, it looks different. And he said, yes, it's changed. So I got to get the new one. Next time I go, that's going to be something I do. I'm going to try to go next Monday, honestly. See if I can't get a reservation next Monday. I have an early shift at Star Cruiser, and kind of like I did today. So I'm going to try to maybe get over there and get that sampler next week. So, yeah, so all good. I'm gonna go ahead and pretty much wrap this up, because I'm sure I don't know if anybody's gonna be hopping over to join in with Dano. I know he's gonna be starting soon with his watch party for Mando and Bad Batch in the next hour or so, if he hasn't started already. Maybe I'll jump on for a little bit, but I'm definitely not staying up and watching tonight, because, East Coast time, just a little bit too late, even though I don't have to work tomorrow. I do got to keep to that early schedule since I work every morning. Otherwise, I'm going to mess myself up all. But I'll be watching early tomorrow morning, both episodes. And yeah, I can't wait. So thank you guys for joining. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Dark Smack. Appreciate both of you. And yeah, we'll see you guys soon, hopefully. And next broadcast, I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm starting on this weekly thing. It's working. I haven't been working on Tuesday nights, so this has been great. I'm gonna keep trying to do this every week, especially with Mando and Bad Batch coming out. Yeah, so I'm gonna keep doing this. So it's been fun. So hopefully, yeah, I'm gonna tell others. Hopefully we'll get some more people in here, and we'll get some more interaction going. I love this. I feed off the interaction. That's what I love about this. I like this unscripted thing. This is my thing. So I don't really like to have a plan. I just like to talk. So, but it's been great. May the force be with all of you. Yes, till the spire, to Buite. May the stars light your way, and everything else. Have a great night. Enjoy Mando. Enjoy Bad Batch, and we'll see you all next week.